Hey guys, it's Matt. I'm here to do a little tutorial on working with chenille and also changing colors on the Season 18 scarf. So this may be a slightly long video, bear with it. Okay, I'm using Lion Brand Suede for my chenille. This one has been wound and rewound on a yarn winder a number of times. It's gotten very fuzzy, and as a result, it's gotten very grippy. So as you watch me knit, you'll notice that I appear to be struggling with it, and that's because I am. So, first thing about knitting with chenille, you want to keep your work up near the tip of your needles where it begins to taper downwards. The reason for that is, whereas, as Alex mentioned in his video, wool is very elastic and stretches, chenille has no give at all. So each stitch is going to look exactly the way it looks as you knit it. That's how it's going to look forever. So first thing, on your first stitch, you want to cinch your yarn just a little bit. I just snug it, and that keeps your first stitch nice and tight. And the main thing about chenille is consistency. You want each stitch to look like the stitch that precedes it and the stitch that will follow it. And the way you get consistency is by doing everything identical every single time. I mean, that goes down to the angle at which you put your needle in. You know, when you knit, if you tend to put your needle almost perpendicular, then you want to do that every single time. I myself tend to have a little bit of an upwards angle, and so I try and do that every single stitch. And when you pass through, you want it to pass through the same way every single time. So snug up my first stitch, and again, this yarn has gotten very furzy, which is why I appear to be struggling with it, because it grips itself very tightly. Whereas chenille that has not been, this has been a little bit manhandled, frankly. And I only chose this for this video because I had a small piece of it left and thought it would work nicely. Pull it down and pull it through. Okay, that is really all I have to say about working with chenille. Make every stitch the same. Keep your work up towards the top and keep your tension even. Whatever your tension is, just keep it even for every stitch. Okay, jumping from there, we're going to go to color changes. So, to change colors on a Season 18, we are going to put our needle in, grab our secondary color. I'm going to use purple just so it contrasts. Going to hook it over, and then this first one, you just duck under, pull it through. Now, for the second stitch, well, at the beginning here, I'm going to hold the new lead and the tail on my finger, and this stitch of rust, I'm going to pull it just a little bit tight. Now bear in mind, this stitch, this rust, and this purple are going to get very loose by the time you come back around to it when you've gone back and forth on the needles. And that is what I will address as soon as I get back to it. And usually on these, this tail is a little bit short for weaving in later. There, I just gave myself a little extra. That's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it would just be of the right amount to begin with. Okay. Now you may notice I kept talking about keeping your work towards the top. That mostly goes for your left-hand needle where you're taking the stitches off. This one will have a little bit more slide as you're doing it. I don't know why that is, but it just has a little more natural slide to it as you're going. Okay. And if you look back here, you can see that both of these have loosened up considerably. All right. Coming back towards our color change, and again, that first stitch, snug it up just a little bit. God, this stuff's sticky. I've done, I don't know, I've done 3 full-size season 18s in Lion Brand suede. I did Alistair's in Sirdar, 2 types of Sirdar, and I've done a partial season 18 in chenille. And it's not as difficult to work with as it appears from these segments that I'm using. Don't be dissuaded by my crappy recycled yarn. Okay, so we're back to where we joined in, and as you see, this looks really loosey-goosey. So what we're going to do, quite simply, take the tail and the lead yarn and pull. And of course it didn't do what I wanted it to do. There we go. So I guess really just pull the tail, and then you can see they're both tight. And then this first stitch of rust, that one actually stayed snug. It doesn't always. Sometimes you have to snug that one up too. So starting your next row, and this is the proper way to do the two rust, 2 purple, the 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, where you get 4 alternating ridges. You do not break the yarn. You put your needle in, pick up the old color, hang it over, and start knitting. Now this first stitch, this is going to be a little bit looser, so we're going to snug it up ever so slightly. If you pull it too tight, then your 4-row alternating color segments are going to pinch on each edge, which you don't want. As much as possible, you want your rows to go straight across. Although you can look at photographs of the season 18 and see that they have some pinching at their edges, and you can see it because it almost kind of smiles at the corners, if you will allow me that euphemism or analogy, I guess, as the case may be. It's not a euphemism. The other thing is, because I'm knitting only 6 stitches, because I'm not a very fast knitter, this is staying a lot tighter than if I was doing the full 42 stitches, because I don't know why this is, but the wider your work is, the more it has a chance to kind of naturally relax as you go. And when you're working, because the first 4 and last 4 stitches of any scarf seem to be slightly snugger than the middle sections, and I think it just has to do with the way the weight of the scarf hangs as you're going, the way the needles, or the way the stitches kind of hold themselves on the needle. So this is a good sample to show you how to do it, but it's a terrible sample to show what it would look like if I was doing the full 42 stitches. Okay, we're back to the purple, and as you see now, the purple's on the wrong side. So we're just going to lift it over. So we've got 1 purple, 1 rust. Let me go ahead again. I'm going to do 1 more, so this video isn't an eternity of watching. So again, put your needle through your stitch, hang it over, knit it, and then gently snug up that first stitch. Not crazy tight, just to bring it in so you don't get a big fat loop on that color change. I feel like I should have theme music playing, because silence is not golden when it comes to the cinema. And obviously, I'm sure you've noticed there is no slipping of stitches on a season 18 scarf. You knit every stitch. And if you do happen to get a stitch where like you've pulled way too far back, when you get here, after you've put your needle through and before you loop it around, you can snug it up. And it won't completely fix it, but it will minimize the wonkiness of that stitch that got pulled too far. Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop there. If you were going to do one more, then I would do one more. So let me spread that out a little bit. So there. That's working with chenille. That's changing on a season 18 scarf. And then here, you only have one tail to weave in, which you just start going. And when you get to the rust, you just have that one to do too. So that's it. I hope this was helpful, and chenille is the most rewarding pain in the ass you'll probably ever have. Thank you.